how to set up a paper-based exam so you can mark it on screen. Once you're in Teacher Home, you click Create Exam Session. If you see this message, it means that you need to be given permission. So just send me an email. I'll add that to your account, and then you'll see something more like this. This is the specific exam session that the students have sat. It's now been created so we can enter it. We can do upload exam paper. And the mark scheme, and this will start processing immediately. This normally takes a couple of minutes. So in the meantime, what we can do is edit the name. So if we've used some kind of past paper, for example, we might say AQA Biology Paper 1 2024 Combined Foundation, something like that. And this makes it super searchable to reuse these papers in future if we want to. We can also upload the candidates. So just go to the candidate tab. The easiest way to do this is to download a template CSV. You want to delete the examples that are in there, upload or paste in your own list, save that, then upload from your downloads folder. Check that this is the information that you would like to have in there. And you can delete these or add more later in case you find out, from the scripts that as a student that wasn't in the original data. If you want more teachers to be able to mark this rather than just one, then you go to session settings and you would enter their email in here and then click share. We're now just waiting for this to finish processing. There we go, it's done. So now we can go to crop questions. So we start off by cropping 1A. We just need to click here and here. And then this is what we'll be presented with when we're marking. We're now 1B. Need to go to the next page. So I'm just pressing enter because it's faster than clicking up there. Now part 1E has a second section. So I actually need to go back to part 1E, add an additional section, go to that page 5, identify that region, and then I've now got the two sections, and I can just check that there's section, so I've done that wrong. I need to go to section 1, set that here, and then section 2, set that here. No, that's the wrong page. Okay, just double check. Section 1's down there, section 2 is on the next page. Perfect. So now I'm ready to continue with this. And we carry on with this until we have completed all of the sections, so you can see how far through we are. You do want to be kind of generous with this, because if they've written something big, you don't want any writing outside of the area, ideally. We'll talk more about that later. So that took about 5 minutes to complete the paper. Now we can upload the scripts. Okay, so this is warning us it'll take about 3 minutes per script to process. So if you've got a big batch of 30 or 100 of them, then you might want to leave this and come back later. What we can do in the meantime is we can match the students to the candidates. So if I was to click on this image here, it would become larger and I can then see the name of the student. I can then go into this box and start typing the name of that student, and it'll immediately select that one, so I can then just press enter and do the same with the next one. What you'll notice is that Thomas no longer appears in this list. And so we'll have a smaller and smaller list as we go on. So when you can't quite read the name because of handwriting, you'll eventually only have a couple of options. And this list will tell you which students haven't sat the paper. And then you might get a couple of papers where sat by students who weren't in your list. And so you can then update your data using that super easily. So all of these are now queued for processing. This one's currently processing. You can use this to view the script or to delete it. What it's doing is it's looking for anywhere where they've written outside of the regions that we've selected. And it's found that on page 6 and page 10 they've got some writing outside there, and we obviously don't want to miss those when we're marking. It's also found that there were some extra pages that it didn't recognise. We'll just have a quick look in here to see what those extra pages are. So it said 18, 19 and 20. So we go to the bottom, we've got 20, 19, 18. So it must just be that the way that we sort of printed the paper, there are, due to the number of pages, there are a few blanks, which is fine. So we'll go back. And it said there's some out of area writing. I'll show you how we handle that on the next page. So this highlighted a yellow region is where we've got some out of area writing, but this was actually just an artifact. So I'm just going to click submit all regions in this page as none. Now, if I thought that this was part of another question, answer to another question, I'd identify that by ticking the relevant box. But I'm just going to click that one. It's identified some information here. I know that this question doesn't require them to label this on the diagram. So again, I'm going to say none there. So I've processed all of the regions for that first paper that was done. So I was timing these, they're just over a minute per paper. And we'll find we've got a few more extra regions here. Something important here. That's not related to a question. Fine, good. Now, this is where you'll spend most of your time in the manual marking. You can choose to see the name of the pupil if you want to see that whilst you're marking, or you can hide it so that you can be more consistent and fair. If you do see the student has written anything outside of the region, you can click on this button to see the whole page. On the right hand side, you'll see the mark scheme. If you don't have enough screen space for that, you can get rid of it or bring it back using this cog up here. In order to score, you can either type the number in this box and then press enter, or you can simply press the button. So this person's got 3 marks, so I can click 3, 3, etc. And you'll find this is faster than marking by flicking through all the papers. Now what we were just doing is marking by question, which is probably the fastest way, and then you move to the next question and do the same thing. Or you can choose to mark by student. So you mark by script, and that will show us this particular question for a particular student. And once you've marked it, it'll then show you the next question for that student, and so on and so forth. So this is something that you can start doing once the first script has processed, if you want to start marking immediately rather than waiting for them to process. It's also a good way of just checking that all your boxes were in the correct place, because at the moment you can't change that retrospectively. What else? Yes, so if you want to give some feedback, then you can, so probably more appropriate on another question, if they've actually answered any of them. Okay. Are not vessels. You can type something in there, and then if you do that and then press this, it will show you, it will send that feedback to the student. We can go back and change it if we want to. We also, if we press undo, then it'll undo the score and the feedback we just gave and take us back to that. And we can undo as many times as we want to the previous ones that we were marking, and we can flick through the mark scheme like so. Once we've done our marking, we can go into view results. Now, if you see something like this where it's mostly empty, that's because we haven't selected the scripts or the candidates for these particular scripts. Once you've done that, you'll see that those students who've got scripts associated with them have been marked. In order to give the data back to the students, we would do download report PDF. And this provides something which we would print double-sided, just a normal PDF. And a couple of the pages are for you with the exam, the averages for the class. So you can target where the areas of weakness are. And then the remaining pages are going to be for each student. And it will give them their scores for every part, overall score, each question. And importantly, it will recommend some questions that they should work on. Now, obviously, we haven't inputted the data here, so there's nothing really for it to work off. But normally, these will provide suggested questions that student did poorly in comparison to the rest of the class, because those are exactly the ones that they should be going through, and they're exactly not the ones that you typically go through in class, because if everyone else got them right, then you just wouldn't be going through. When you do leave feedback, it's going to be shown on the feedback page for that student. And obviously you would hand these documents out in your feedback lesson. Personally, I prefer to do my teaching on the whole class points first without students comparing all of their grades. And then after we've done some work on that, I then hand these out. They can see what they got, and I would direct them strongly towards responding to the feedback that I've written, and also to working on these questions which are personal to them.